You know, guys, I've said this a lot in my Shield Hero videos, but man, do I not think it can be stated enough how trash the other heroes are, man. Holy! I was watching this episode today getting heated, even knowing we were gonna go in this direction. It's still infuriating, man. They are beyond stupid. It is crazy. And man, who's the person pulling the strings behind all the stupidity? Mine. Or should I say, actually I can't say her name because YouTube won't like that, but you know her name. The way she manipulates people is actually unbelievable. How they're so stupid and fall for her every single time. It's almost like she's got a power of her own. But nevertheless, just watching that whole scene today play out, I wanted to rip my hair out. I'm just like, you can't be that dumb. But they are. They surprise me every time. So let's just get straight into it and talk about Rising of the Shield Hero, Season 2, Episode 4 today, as we have some stupidity going on. Now, our episode begins where our last one left off in the throne room with the queen, as we see that Naofumi is in a bit of an interesting situation, as she tells him that we found Motoyasu, and he seems to be searching for his comrades, who parted ways with him after the spirit tortoise fight. As she tells him, one of them we know is in a town near Melromark. And as Naofumi asks about the other heroes' whereabouts, she tells him that they don't know where they are yet. But adds, bitch, as we last discussed, was seen near the northern border. As Naofumi asks, you can't use your slave crest to find her? As she tells him, we can't. She's blocking it somehow. And when he asks about Ren and Itsuki, she says they don't know anything, besides the fact that the Sword Hero's companions are all dead. As she says, Naofumi, it won't be much longer before the Phoenix revives. I'll ask you to please persuade the Spear Hero while there's still time. As Naofumi remembers the words of Fitoria, if the heroes are fighting each other, instead of the waves of catastrophe, I will kill the 4 cardinal heroes. As Naofumi really doesn't have much of a choice in the matter, as he says, I can leave Eclair in charge of my lands, and start with Motoyasu. And it's here we see that he's quietly being watched by someone from the shadows. But it's here as we transition to our next scene. It's time for a typical day in Naofumi's village. You know, kids are running around having a good time. Rishia's crying her eyes out in training. All the kids are bombarding Naofumi to feed them. They don't respect this man. They call him Naofumi-chan and all that. They don't respect him. They want food. They're hungry. And as our boy gets to cooking, we hear, it feels like everybody's settled in nicely here. As Melty says, yeah, and thanks to that, we'll have the outer walls done sooner than expected. Right now, our problems are getting the money we'll need for food and things. And the money to improve the domain. As Naofumi asks, we can't get any money from the government? And she tells him, we can't expect much. Every place is trying to rebuild right now. What the show doesn't really show that much is that everywhere's kind of shit right now. The waves are just getting worse, and so are the lives of all the people. And it's here Melty asks, how's things go with Sadane and Foal's level reset? As Naofumi says, we got it done. I heard they need to do some rehab to make up for the lost levels. But from the look of it, they'll be fine. As Naofumi says, unlike your status, Raftalia, what you've gained from training isn't lost during a reset. So now we just need to raise our levels and get ready for the battle with the Phoenix. The problem comes after they hit their limits. As Raftalia asks, is the only solution for them to train more? As Naofumi says, for now, probably. But it's here, guys. It's time to eat. As Naofumi starts handing out food to everyone. And it's here as a certain person lines up. Naofumi asks, so who are you? As they introduce themselves as Sane. who, if you guys have paid attention throughout our episode, has integrated themselves into the village a bit. And Naofumi's kept an eye on them this entire time. He's noticed her there. As Philo comes up and says, "Oh, you're the clown girl, right?" "Oh, you know her too, master." And as she takes the mask out, Naofumi realizes, "You're the murder clown from the Colosseum." As he says, "What are you doing in our village?" And she says, "I walked." Philo asks, "Did you come for food?" She's like, "Yeah." As Naofumi tells her, "Just so you know, this ain't free food. It's for my villagers." As she says, "Okay, I'll give you this bag of gold coins for some food." Which personally I might have turned a blind eye to, but Naofumi tells her, "Look, it's not about the money." As he tells her flat out, "Just leave the village." As she says, "Even though I protected everyone from slavers?" As he tells her, "I can't trust you, so yes." And it's here as he's kicking her out, she's constantly looking over her shoulder like, "Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure?" It's sad, but I understand Naofumi's argument in this case. Like, he can't risk it. He doesn't know her yet. But it's here as we transition to our next scene. He's got the perfect thing to cheer Philo up, because we're going on an adventure. As he tells Sadane and the twins, "You guys raise your levels while we're gone." As we see Rishia staying to get some hellish training in as well. And as they leave, we see it's our original cast of 3 going out on this trip to find Trash. The spear hero. As Raftalia says, "It's been so long since we've been on a journey like this." It really has. It reminds me of when we first met. And it's here as we transition to our next scene and they make it to this town. We see yet again that a lot of people are suffering. They have not recovered from the waves. As Naofumi says, "This is awful. But for now, we need to find the cardinal hero." And as they start looking through town, we hear, "Oh, you'll want to find the next street over. And head to one of the taverns on the outskirts of town. I saw someone there who looked like a hero." And as they're walking through town, we suddenly hear, "Elena, you're alive! I'm so glad! I thought I'd never see you again!" As we hear, "Oh, well, if it isn't the spear hero." As he says, "Listen, Elena, we've had lots of adventures together, right? Let's join up and save the world together again." As she tells him, "Yeah, I'm sorry, but that's impossible." As this man falls on his face and she tells him, "If you want party members, head to a tavern." As he says, "But I want you," and she tells him, "Motoyasu-sama," or spear hero. "I couldn't take any more traveling with you. The days when you had fame and riches are long gone. What are you right now?" As he says, "I'm a hero." And she tells him, "No, you're a vagrant. If you want to be with me, try to get somewhere in life. Like the shield hero." You want to talk about his pride getting crushed instantly hearing that. And it's here, who should he run right into? Naofumi. As he says, "We finally found you, Motoyasu." As this man literally runs from him, and as he makes his way around the corner, he teleports away. But now that he's gone, there's only one person to go and talk to figure out what's going on with him. And it's here as they sit down with Elena, she says, "You're going to pay for this, right?" As Naofumi says, "You better tell me everything you know in exchange." And it's here we start learning about what the other heroes were doing during our spirit tortoise incident. As she says, "Motoyasu headed to the shield tortoise's kingdom with the intent of beating it ahead of you." And as we transition into a flashback where the tortoise looks better than it did in season 2, by the way, a little agitating, but whatever, we see this fool is still as confident as ever. As he says, "See for yourself how much stronger I am than the shield hero." And as him and his gaggle of women charge forward, they easily take out the familiars as they scale the spirit tortoise. But right as they make it to the head and he attacks the spirit tortoise, we see that he barely even scratches it as it regenerates. And as he's desperately hitting it with attack after attack, it's doing nothing. And his party actually abandons him. As Elena says, "I picked the wrong guy to suck up to." That's the truth. As she adds, oh, don't try to have me arrested, by the way. I've already given all the information I know to the authorities. As Naofumi asks her, there's one more thing I want to know. Where are the taverns in this town? Because it's here as they make their way into one, we spot Ren, the sword hero. And it's here our real trouble begins. As Naofumi says, it's been a while, Ren. As Naofumi says, look, I haven't come to arrest you or anything. And actually tells Raftalia and Philo, hey, can you guys go look for Motoyasu for me? Leave us alone for a bit, please. And it's here with them gone, it's time to have a little hero-to-hero chat. As Naofumi says, I just met Motoyasu. He came to this town to meet one of his old party members, I guess. He got away before we got a chance to talk, though. As Ren says, his comrades are alive, I guess, then. As Naofumi says, I heard about yours. As he says, yeah, they're all dead. And as we see how gruesomely they all went out, he tells Naofumi, I lost because they were weak. It's not my fault. It's not my fault at all. And this clearly pisses Naofumi off. But he says, Ren, I'm sorry about what happened to your party. But you can still fight. There's no time left before the Phoenix's seal breaks. And this time, we heroes need to fight it together. As he says, please, help me. As Ren's gonna do it, he's gonna help him. Until this bitch comes and says, you mustn't believe the shield demon. As literally bitch shows up. As she tells Ren, you said you believe only me, remember? As he says, I didn't say I'd believe you. And Motayasu's still looking for his friends. As she tells him, the spear hero's not a true hero. I told you that from the moment I laid eyes on you. I knew you were the hero destined to save the world. And the spear hero forced himself on me, just like the shield. As Ren's like, Motoyasu, that bastard! And now Fumi's like, come on, Ren. You're not telling me you believe her. You saw the trial at the castle. As Bit says, stop it. Are you trying to shame me again? As she says something wild here and says, Ren, that trial was a farce, a way to steal the throne from me. My mother joined forces with the wicked shield to humiliate me, so that her slave, Melty, could attain the throne. Now Fumi literally can't believe this garbage he's hearing right now. As she adds, and the shield demon here was secretly controlling the spirit tortoise, so that he could gain the people's trust. He's the one responsible for the death of your party. As she says, I'm not lying. You see, my slave crest isn't activating, and that's proof. As Naofumi says, how? As she tells Ren, do you believe me now? I care about you more than anyone. The entire world may call you a criminal, but I believe you. I believe you fought for the sake of the world. As this absolute scum did the exact same thing Raftalia did for Naofumi in Season 1. To say he's mad here is an understatement. Fuck her. As she says, even if you can't believe in anyone anymore, I believe in you. Ren-sama, no, the great sword hero. And right before Naofumi's had enough, Motoyasu shows up. As he says, what are you doing with Ren? I've been looking for you this whole time. Mine, I mean slut. As she says, oh my, he told me he's been trying to find me, but he called me a slut. That's proof that he forced himself on me every night. He said he'd kill my father if I refused. As he says, Ren, slut is lying to you. As Naofumi is fed up with this actual nonsense. As he says, I'm amazed it's possible for one human being to lie that much, bitch. As he says, listen, Ren, think very carefully about who's more trustworthy, me or her. But this dumbass says, mine's right, you were behind it all. The reason my party all died, and that I'm being blamed for it, is you, Naofumi. As Naofumi says, oh, so that's how it is, huh? If that's how you're gonna be, And I've got some shit to say to you too. As Naofumi tells him like it is and says, your buddies all died? That's because you treated this whole thing like a video game, isn't it? It's not your fault, huh? Yeah, it's a lot easier when you can just blame everything on somebody else. This world's not a game. You had people who believed in you and followed you wherever you went. And right now, you're a failure not just as a hero, but as a human being. He definitely struck a nerve here. As he says, it's not my fault. And as bitch tries to butt in again, Naofumi says, get lost, bitch. And shut your mouth before I kill you right here. Literally would be doing the kingdom a favor, by the way. As he tells Ren, you know exactly what you should be doing right now. But you're refusing to do it because it would mean admitting you screwed up. As he tells him to shut up, and Naofumi says, I'll say it as many times as I have to. You know exactly what you should be doing right this very moment. And I can tell you for sure, at least, it's not listening to that whore. But it's here. Ren pulls his sword out, screaming, it's not my fault. As Naofumi says, you're going to use a skill in the middle of a crowded building? As this fool says, I'm going to fight for mine. For the person who believes in me. And as he attacks Naofumi, he casually brushes it aside. Not even using a skill, just with the shield itself. As we see the tavern get destroyed. That is how weak the sword hero really is. As he tells Naofumi, you have to be cheating somehow. But he tells him, look at the reality in front of you. And right before they're about to leave, Motoyasu clings to bitch here. As she kicks him to the side and tells him, you abandoned me. As she gives him the same look she gave Naofumi. And they leave. As Naofumi says, you're the one who abandoned him. And as Raftalia and Philo get here, we see that Motoyasu is a broken man right now. As Raftalia asks if he's okay, and Naofumi says, I don't care. And as we transition to our next scene, there's only one thing that will cheer this hopeless dumbass up. And that's a musical number by Philo. We had to fill time in our episode, guys. What can I say? Oh my god. And of course, as this idiot watches his angels sing and dance, his spirits are perked right up. God, the other heroes suck so much, man. Good lord. As Raftalia says, Naofumi, what is this? As Naofumi says, maybe it's something she gained from her time as a hummingbird. Fairy. As she gives Motoyasu some food and says, hey, eat this and cheer up. And of course, this makes him go full weirdo, because of course it does. As naturally, Philo hates it. As Naofumi pulls him off her and says, hey, I'm glad you're doing better. Believe in the method I gave you to get stronger and work to get ready for the fight. As he says, understood! He's finally willing to listen to Naofumi, this dumbass. And as we transition to our next scene, I gotta be real, it's just awful. As Naofumi and his party's leaving the inn, and Motayasu's waiting and says, good morning, father! I feel so bad for Philo, man. And as Naofumi slams the door in his face, as he should, he says, father? As he busts back in and says, your daughter saved me in my darkest hour and taught me about true love. I promise to make her happy in this life, the next, and the life after that. Please, give me your daughter. As obviously Philo hates this. As Raftalia says, you're scaring her, you know, you fucking creep. As he says, don't get in my way, you raccoon pig. As Raftalia gets heated. How the hell could you look at Raftalia and call her a pig, bro? You are actually stupid. As she knocks his fucking lights out here. Good riddance. As they leave his ass there, and our episode ends with at least him willing to listen to Naofumi now. And I'll tell you guys now, man, like, a little spoiler, I guess. The other heroes do get redeemed at some point, but they still suck. They're still awful. They even have a spin-off series for the Spear Hero, by the way, which is just not good. Who gives a flying fuck, dude? They are the worst part of Shield Hero by far. Every time I try to talk this series up to people, I always have to include the fact that, yeah, the other heroes are dog shit. And we have a character like mine, fucking Malty, who is just the absolute worst ever, man. Everywhere she goes, just awful. There might be a reason for that, but that's later. But man, guys, this episode was an interesting one. But I'll be honest, I've never liked dealing with the other heroes in this series. So this episode kind of dragged for me a little bit too. So let me know your thoughts on this and the other heroes, I suppose, down in the comments. I would like to hear. But until next time, I hope you all have a great day, week, month, and year. And until then, deuces, have a blessed day, and I will see you guys next time. Deuces.